happy International Women's Day to all my queens out there that I've been walking this path with, that I'm a woman that I'm going to walk this path with at some point. I'm just celebrate every single one of you. And on this kind of occasion, I'm gonna hop up live and gonna share some of the insights or like awareness or things that I've noticed recently that have been popping up around me in my environment. So that this is something to talk about, something to bring to the table, and to something to think about, and something to implement, something to actually question yourself, about yourself, about your life, about your energy, about your body, about your emotions, about your being, about your doing, about your job, about your relationships, about your health, about every single thing. Because here's the thing, we tend to, like old matrix have taught us or brainwashed us to think that life is about the doing, about the job, about the profession, about the money, about the looks, about the kind of like a surface level way of living. And we follow sort of like a puppy game. You just follow the template, you follow the blueprint until you're actually realizing this is the old world and there is a new world. And for us to even just come to awareness and accepting that there is a new world, that is like women already living it, women already embodying it, women already implementing the tools, and they actually do have things differently. And so I see this as two different worlds. So the old part of the matrix have been conditioned us to believe and think about like certain beliefs about women, about woman's body, and all of those things. So recently, being really like exposed, or like my brain or my mind would go and see things differently. I got back into exercising more again, to moving my body, reconnecting on the ways I used to be before pregnancy, before giving a birth, and I can see how things are shifting in my body, how knowing your body, knowing your energy, it does incredible things to your body. And you want to lose weight, you want to reduce inflammation, you want to feel more alive, you want to feel more energy, you want to do crazy things with your body. It's like everything comes down to one thing, is that connection. You either have it or you don't. And old pattern matrix, the intention is to actually keep that you and your energy, to keep that disconnected. So when you are like really young, when you're growing up, whether you went to school, happens everywhere. It could happen in like your house or school. So what happens? There are a lot of beliefs and a lot of imposed beliefs that we impose to you without your permission. A lot of beliefs and conditions and all kinds of things that been imposed to you and brainwashed into for a reason to create a split within you. And that split is split identity from who you actually are and where you're supposed to be going, and there is a split that happens, and you're actually becoming who you think you should become according to matrix plan. And most of the society, they following the matrix plan without even realizing, and kept chasing those things and keep doing things. But what's happening on a circle, the deeper layer, you start feeling like all kinds of like anxiety, depression. You start body getting sick, body is intense, relationships suck, money is not coming. It just feels like a life is really hard. It feels like you feel stuck in this push, right? So this is how every single one probably have a split, unless you you had a different karma and you grew up in a family where they really knew how to actually hold energy together, learn how to hold a human together, and how to really raise a child in a healthy way, right? If you didn't have this kind of parents or that environment that supports it, you probably had a split at some point in your life, younger or a teenager, whatever that happened. But that happened, and you start kind of following that template, a blueprint that you think you should be doing. And if you look at your life right now, you're gonna notice, how do you know if you're following the blueprint or not? By the way you feel, and by the way your life looks like, and by the way things are happening to you. So it's more like a hard push, chase, stress, depression, anxiety, all kinds of things, a lot of tension. Or is a light, which is new paradigm, light, flowy, allowing, fun, openness, trusting, that's kind of energy. That is a new paradigm that actually that's the energy you're supposed to be following in. But you never been taught that, and that's okay. I said there is a different type of woman that actually when they're ready, they kind of receive that information, or they come across like videos like this and say like, oh, there is a different world. Because I remember like I never believed that something like this exists until I actually came across this kind of videos. I came across first my mentors. They then they opened me up, like cracked me open, where I'm like, holy cow, like why I just learned about it now? There's a different way of doing or being and seeing in life, right? But recently I've been moving my body more. I've been seeing more people around me, just another observation. I have like probably the least judgmental person you probably ever seen in the planet Earth, but I always go in observation, right? And there is the energy of look at me. When the split happens within us, we tend to go in the energy of look at me. And the look at me energy is like that, but needing, you never felt seen, so you're seeking that validation and approval from external world. So the look at me is that becomes you try to really hard to be seen and validated and acknowledged and loved. So the look at me energy, you actually proving your worthiness. You try to prove your being. You try to prove your existence. You try to prove your health. You try to prove that you are worthy of breathing, basically. And you oftentimes you do this even without consciously. You know, sometimes you can slip in that, you know, look at me energy. You know, whatever you're doing now, I see a lot of it, like, you know, fitness industry is now going to love and hate now when it comes to fitness relationship. They started off really good, people start moving more, but now like you went to like to the extreme where people actually doing more damage to themselves than actually helping their bodies. That's because of that still there is a split energy that no one is aware of. That is seeking that look at me energy, like look how I'm worthy, look how I look the aesthetics, look, try to seek that love and acknowledgement and approval from somebody else. This is something that we learn in the old paradigm matrix. It's like when we're not able to meet the needs that within ourselves, we're not actually able to read the messages the body tells us, when we're not able to trust that body's guidance, when we actually still into a result orientation, not experience orientation, we will be following the look at me energy, because that internal gap that needs to be filled, you're gonna fill it. If you're not gonna do this in a healthy way, which is like through embodiment, you're gonna go and do this in a toxic way, through manipulation, projection, control, like seeking validation, all kind of toxicity. And just the way how we do, this is the way how we humans designed to do. There is no judgment or blaming. It's just if you're realizing you've done it one way, now there is another way. So where you are in your system to even just to comprehend that is like, maybe I can get better at it. Maybe I want to improve. I want to like learn how to do it better and heal that part of me where I don't really need anyone outside of me to tell me that I'm good enough. That I don't need anyone outside me or circumstances to be different to make me to feel good. So you actually, this is the personal power. You completely rely on yourself to feel good, because your emotional metabolism is already quite fast. Your emotional metabolism is like already like processing things, so you don't actually wait until 1 year or 1 week or 1 month to process things. That's the magic, right? And I remember when I started off this work, and I started with this work when I was 18, so it's quite a time I've been implementing the body-mind connection, working with it. And I remember you would tell me like, love your body, connect with the body, everything's fine, love yourself, you don't need a validation. I would be probably slapping your face, because I was just like desperate for it. Because that disconnection, that split was so deep in me that I did not want to look at me. I couldn't even look at the mirror. I was just like hate, a pure hate of self, a rejection. This is where I started off, right? Versus now is the opposite. But to get to the point, it was like the shifts, the 1% of the calibration, understanding the orientations that we have, the feminine, masculine, the identity shifts, the momentum, understanding all those methodologies that I shift. I go through all the 12 embodiment alignment principles that I teach. I work with someone, and we go through all of it until like you actually get to the point where like, holy shit, it feels nice to be in my body. It's nice to feel that you don't just generally need anyone or rely on anybody to feel good. It's like you are know how to access those feelings, that power, that anytime you want to, because it's yours. No one can take it away. This is where women kind of get lost with women, because we are living in the emotional world, and women tend to, like, when things don't go in the way they wanted to, or they on like different phases of the period or whatever it is, they controlled by their hormones and all this, and you see the circumstance didn't work out the way, they already blame everything for what's happening, or they find excuses to do it. It's like realizing, it doesn't work this way. So the more you rely on the personal power and you learn to actually access that power within you, that connection, they call that plugging in, the more you're able to actually maintain that, and you practice staying longer with that connection within you. And whatever people say you do or have or don't have, or like whatever they say, the nonsense, you'll see that it's gonna bother you less and less and less and less and less and less and less. It happens, but not all the time. Where you like one night you feels like this transformation happens overnight. It feels like one day you bothered, another day you feel like stop bother you. These are the quantum shifts, and they do happen, and experience it myself. But on a majority basis, there's a calibrations and shifts that need to happen, right? And we as women, we are so designed. We are walking miracles. This is how we see woman, and a woman's body is a miracle right now. The way we able to feel and create and nurture, and the way our body is designed to actually give birth and clean itself and do all this kind of like things that you didn't even think about and we're taking for granted. Because in the old paradigm they say like woman's body is a ticking bomb. Wait until something happens. It's dirty. It's like he has to follow certain rules, certain numbers, and that's all part of the matrix, and they've done it for a reason. Because that really, when there is a split energy, we are vulnerable women. We are so vulnerable, and we're so easy to be manipulated, and it's so easy for us to slip off when someone tells something, because there is a split. The need that needs to be met, closed. The connection to ourselves, because when you connect it to yourself and to energy in your heart and to knowing who you are, that freaking embodiment, this is where people can say anything to you. You feel like that's a nice projection, thank you very much. You can hear it, you can see it and be in it, but it's not gonna actually activate you emotionally. That's the difference, and it's a beautiful difference. So women, now we tend to like control our bodies and control the foods, control the weight, control the numbers, try to get to certain numbers. It's a lot of masculine orientation going on, which is great if you want to get to certain goals, and you can use it in a fun ways. But what I care about, like when someone comes to work with me, what I care about is really paying attention, like what kind of energy you treat your body. Is there a demand? Is there a control? Is there a need? Is there a conditions placed on your body? When you look certain way or have certain number, this is when you're gonna be happy. When you have this and that, or how you look certain way, this is when you can actually have a soulmate. Or when you look at this and that, this is when you can actually succeed. And then you wonder why it's so hard. Because we place conditions on our happiness in our body. Body does not follow our conditions. Body follows our energy. And if you haven't connected to your body, you haven't connected to your energy, and you have sitting in the split, body kind of just follows the default. What we learned, what was familiar, what you learn in old paradigm. And that's the reason you're on a cycle. Emotional roller coasters. So that's why I always encourage women to focus on the life that you create. Is great. But before you actually give all your everything in what you're actually creating, make sure you have the connection to plugging in. Because you can only create the magic when you're inside the vortex, not outside the vortex. You can only create the magic from the place of alignment and fun when you are connected to yourself, not when you're unplugged. That's very different. So for this for this even kind of conclusion of this video, is a reminder for those who need it. For myself, It's like it's never ending, the journey. The power is within you. You don't need anyone else's permission to access it. You don't need anything to change in your life right now in order to connect to the power within you. You don't need to have more or less or different in order to access the power within you. You can even just be where you are, even just watch this video or listen to this video. And then see if you can actually calibrate it and realizing you have been giving the power away to the world outside of you, to your parents, to your kids, to your partner, to your friends, to your co-workers, to your patients, to whatever. But no, it's inside of you and it's yours. No one can take it away. No one can actually minimize it. People can amplify it. That's the beauty about having beautiful relationships from the place of embodiment. They amplify you. But that's the magic. You always get to connect. And they generally can only connect when you learn to work with the body, because the magic is in the body. Body can shift. Body shifts first before our mind shifts. Body holds way more intelligence than the body, than the head. Body is pure, unconditional love. Body always heals 24/7. Body always guides you. We just have to learn to reconnect and trusting that. It's not always easy, of course, but that's when you realize when you want to move in the direction of alignment where it feels good, where you can actually have this ease and calmness. I call that cool, calm, and collected vibes in your body, where just like you're listening and just follow it. You're working with the brain. It's not that you're not ignoring it. It's like what body and your brain works together. This is when the connection happens. So, you got this. You have the power within you. Just amplify it. Just remember who you are. It's all about remembering. Happy International Women's Day.